Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Game Boyz podcast. The date is April 14th. I believe this is the Game Boyz podcast number 6. I'm here with Bowman.
Hey everybody.
Great intro, Bowman. We're going to be talking about some stuff. You know, Sega had a big conference. We got some Bowman topics that I don't know about yet. And yeah, we saw a movie today. And what's been up with you? Anything?
Not a whole lot, man. Just finishing up my semester of school, so that's been fun. Just the end of school anxieties are starting to go away. I have to write like a paper in one day tomorrow, so that'll be fun. But
is this the same paper that you've been telling me about?
No, I finished that one. I just had that other paper on top of this one, and this is a really easy class, so I should be all right. What about you?
Not a lot. No, just the usual shit. Same thing. School and work. And about to get your TV. So the CRT crisis of 2018 has been solved.
Yes, I am downsizing a lot of my collection because I'm currently in the process of moving, so I can focus more on school for this next year.
Right.
So a lot of my games and stuff will be considerably downsized.
Mm-hmm. So you'll see them here soon.
Yeah, it's I'll be storing a lot of stuff.
Like in a storage unit? Or?
No, I think I'm just going to get a decent-sized box, and whatever I can fit into it, clearly I can keep. That's kind of how I'm going to handle it, where I'm going to get a big box, and it's just like, all right, anything I can hidden, something that won't be too intrusive for someone to keep for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep it for you. It's whatever.
Yeah, so should be all right, and that includes a giant CRT TV, which I almost was going to take with me, and then went, okay, do I really need to lug?
I'll ship it to Japan when I get
Yeah, do I really need to take a CRT TV with me? And honestly, I haven't been. I do retro game, but I don't retro game too much this past year because I'm just so busy.
Well, I mean, it's because obviously you're just not a true gamer.
I'm a fake gamer, guys. I'm coming out with it right now.
You heard it here first.
No. I would like to retro game more. It's just that portable gaming is just such a. It's just like the Vita and the Switch are the two main systems I play right now because they're the easiest. I go to bed with them. And then I can take them with me to school or work. So it's just retro gaming. It's just really tough for me, and I don't really need a CRT TV at this point. I feel like it's gonna be a way better home and more appreciated over here at this point.
Well, that's most things in life. So yeah, all right, cool. Well, we'll get right into it. First topic: Sega had a big conference.
They did.
We talked a little bit about this behind the scenes. So they announced the Genesis Mini, which so there's a lot of confusion here. We think that it's basically like the Nintendo Mini.
Well, it's clear that that's what they're trying to market it as.
But they did this last year, and it was a disaster. It was that piece of shit Genesis from At Games.
Did they even make another one? Or?
They did. Well, they made one last year or the year before, and it was like it was a collection of but it was 50% like shovelware games, like not even Genesis games. They were 50%
yeah,
and then it was garbage.
The design was crap. It had these really shitty what kind of technology, like infrared light wireless controllers. Yes. And those are really shoddy. It does have regular Genesis ports, so you can plug in your regular Genesis controller. But the problem with it is that it's just shitty emulation technology. It's just not well made at all. It outputs at a crappy resolution. The games were whatever. You could put your own cartridges into it, but not all the cartridges worked.
Right.
So it's just a crappy product. That's all there is to it.
Could you? I thought this was totally a.
This is a different one?
I thought so. I don't know. There's been so many.
There's been so many At Games things. I think basically what we're trying to get at is that it's not made clear whether or not this is a At Games
or just a total Sega production here.
If it's not At Games, it makes me nervous that they're not making that clear, because I feel like they would make that clear. Mm-hmm. Your argument is the opposite, though. You feel like they wouldn't make a big deal about this.
Right. Well, I think that they wouldn't have brought it on stage and had like a big announcement for a conference or whatever if it's during a time when people are obviously trying to match that lightning in a bottle of the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. So that's where I'm at on that. I think it should be obvious that it is something of high quality, but with Sega, you really just don't know.
They're a clown company, man.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know. They could definitely just be contracting this out again.
Well, they've always been pretty good when it comes to hardware. The question is, are they even producing this hardware?
Well, yeah, exactly.
So, and then so they announced the Genesis Mini. They announced Shenmue 1 and 2 collection.
That's great news.
People have been asking for a long time, and especially so since the announcement of Shenmue 3, and they didn't really show anything. They showed some footage of the old games. They didn't make it clear if it was like an HD
It's apparently
remake.
It's not a remaster.
Right, that's fine.
I don't
honestly,
care.
I don't care either. They're up-resing it to 4K, I think maybe, and then they are doing the English and Japanese audio options.
Very cool. I mean,
I want to play with the English.
The English is great. I mean, I think it's part
infamously bad.
It's part of the
voice
charm
acting.
of the game.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They also made an announcement. What do they call it? The Sega
Ages
collection, which is not a collection, rather it's just an announcement that just like Neo Geo has been doing, they're going to release Sega Genesis, Sega classics onto the Switch.
Well, this is a series that they used to have back on the Saturn that I don't know if you're familiar with this. So they had the Sega Ages series back in the day on the Saturn, maybe even the Sega CD as well, and yeah, it would just be a compilation of a few games.
From my understanding, this is just a digital announcement.
Sure, but it's essentially a callback to a series they used to do back in the day. So it's cool. I just wonder if this is essentially just a Sega collection, and then they're like, retro stuff is in right now, so let's do a callback to the Sega Ages.
Well, that's why I'm whatever about it. Like, it's
right.
I think a lot of this stuff is just expected at this point. So, I mean, it'll be cool. That it's funny because it's when the Genesis Mini was announced, I was just like, oh, I hope they put Phantasy Star on it for Phantasy Star 2, and they're gonna one of the first titles they announced for the Sega Ages is Phantasy Star 1
right.
for the Master System. So that's pretty neat. So it's just neat. It's just like, okay, like,
yeah.
And the thing is, I think we're at the point where we've talked about this a lot, that virtual console releases and stuff like that just doesn't really excite me anymore, just because we had this already. Like, the Wii did this, and I think the Wii did it the best.
Yeah, you're not going to beat what the Wii did.
Yeah.
Although, anytime they can release a big compilation like this is what I prefer. This isn't going to be... I don't think it's going to be like the Neo Geo games. I'm pretty sure this is...
like more like the Namco?
I'm pretty sure, it's going to be an all-in-one collection.
Okay.
It said over 15 games.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't think these are going to be like one-off $8 titles or whatever. I think this is a collection, which is really the way to do it. I don't think that anyone other than Nintendo can get away with selling their old games for $5 a piece or $10 a piece.
I think Nintendo can barely get away with it at this point.
Yeah, exactly, which is probably why we haven't seen a new virtual console yet. So, yeah, exciting stuff, especially for someone like me who's a Sega fan. Definitely excited about the Shenmue collection. Not sure about the Genesis Mini and Sega Ages. I mean, probably it's not really for me, someone who has all the games basically physically, but if they release a physical collection for like $20 or $30, I might pick it up.
That's where I'll be more attuned to it. But I think with the Sega Ages, the Sega Genesis Mini, I think if they really market this thing well and they do it in the same way that Nintendo did, because only so far we got the Japanese announcement, which is the Mega Drive one. So if they announced like the Sega Genesis one for America and showed the box and stuff and like did that same type of marketing, I'd be fine if you just copied the marketing. Mm-hmm. Just flat out do like the Sega does it when Nintendo don't, marketing, and have the box and everything looks just like the original Genesis box and everything, and the controllers are like great. Don't release the 3-button controller, please. Please make the 6-button controller.
Yeah.
But it has the opportunity. They have the opportunity to make a lot of money if they want to at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, they could do it. So, all right, what do you got for us today?
Well, let's just dive into this because I'm sure it's on your list anyway. But let's just bring it up. Is that the Billy Mitchell controversy?
Okay,
Let's just dive right into that one.
All right. This is a good one.
So Billy Mitchell, otherwise known as the King of Kong.
Okay.
And he was evidently he held a lot of high scores. The highest score for Pac-Man at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Highest score for Donkey Kong. He apparently was the first million-point. Right. Which is like the perfect score in Donkey Kong, apparently. Not Donkey Kong, not the perfect score. He had the first perfect score in Pac-Man.
He had the first million-point score. That was for Donkey Kong.
Right.
And then he held... No, it might have been for Pac-Man, but he did the first perfect game in Pac-Man, which was every fruit, every pellet, and no deaths.
Right, and get to the death screen.
Yeah.
So... But this specifically, the controversy is centered around what sparked it all was Donkey Kong specifically, wasn't it?
Sure. So, if you're not familiar with it yet, out there, they've got the King of Kong. It's a documentary, famous documentary.
It came out like 2007.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to see it during its limited release back in the day. Love that movie. Billy Mitchell is essentially the villain of that movie. And this stuff was kind of hinted at in that movie. I mean, he wouldn't show up to the arcades to battle, basically. He wouldn't actually show up. And then whenever he would submit a score, he would do it through like mysterious means and through like a VHS tape. And it's a documentary and it does a good job, so they never write the narrative. There's no narrator or anything like that, but there's a moment where he submits the tape that beats the other guy, and it's like when he wins, like when his score gets over the 1,000,000-point mark or whatever, when he like beats the other guy's score, the like whole side of the tape where his score is like blurs and like is like static. Do you remember that?
I actually didn't see King of Kong.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you should watch it immediately.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, there's a moment in the movie where, where Steve Wiebe beats his score and has the new high score, and then Billy Mitchell within like 30 minutes has a confidant there with a tape in a package, and nobody knows what it is, and they play it, and it's him beating the score that he just got. But when it happens, when the score rolls over 1,000,000, there's like a bunch of static on the entire left side of the screen where the score is. So like over where the score is, there's like static on the screen, and it looks like it glitches or whatever. And they don't say anything about it in the movie, but it's it's like a documentary. The camera focuses on it when it happens, and it's just like they don't say this is shady, but it's implied.
Yeah.
And so he was already kind of doing that stuff back then, and it wasn't surprising to me at all when I heard that he had cheated. So this is old news at this point. He had already been, confirmed a cheater, but now after a couple months investigation, so this is the new news. So after a couple months investigation, they've deleted all of his scores,
Twin Galaxies,
and Guinness.
Yeah, well, because Twin Galaxies is what Guinness based their world records in video games off of Twin Galaxies standards. That's why. So when Twin Galaxies came out with it, Guinness already commented and said, okay, we're going to follow suit because we use Twin Galaxies to verify our scores. We trust them. They're partners in this.
Right.
So they pulled out from this point. So I think Billy Mitchell should be on suicide watch. I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times, and this isn't even really a joke.
I'm not even joking about this. I'm laughing a little bit because it's ridiculous. But no one's talking about this. Like everything.
I don't think people care. I don't think people.
I guess we're so empathetic. I don't know.
Yeah, this should go into a totally different rant. But real quick, without getting too philosophical or whatever, I'll just say I think today's age, with the way that the social media is and the news and the 24-hour news cycle. And I think that there's such a high level of narcissism and stuff, and such a desire for that next little meme and that next chunk of news that's, you know, like I sent you the picture of the thing I saw in the grocery store line. It was like a magazine, and it was just like a headline of like, Brad Pitt got the children.
Yeah.
And I just mentioned how like damaging it probably is to their family to like see that shit on the store shelves. It's that, like, I don't think people are concerned about him. It's a new thing for the lynch mob to get behind.
Well, it's self-generated now. Like, back then the press would do it. Now everyone's just like, oh, do I get to be the next person that like makes the next meme? And
yes, exactly. Next meme. And it's like, yeah, the guy's a scumbag, and he cheated and stuff.
We're not denying that. But
he cheated at a fucking video game, all right? Give him a break. Like, call it quits after a while. Like, it's been nonstop, just like memes and just like news headlines. I'm getting it popping up on my news feed. It's just like, who gives a fuck?
Well, and people don't take 2 seconds to think about, like, this is this guy's legacy.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is this guy's life. Like, this is like, all his friends are around this. Like, he was like obsessed with Twin Galaxies growing up, and he had a really good relationship with them. And now he's cut off from them. So I brought it to one of my coworkers who was kind of they weren't really making fun of the situation, but they were kind of just like, oh, fuck this guy. And I'm just like, what if you worked here for like 30 plus years, and like everyone you became really close friends with, and then something came out that you did something wrong, and it just completely destroyed your reputation. You got fired, not allowed on property anymore.
Right.
And everyone thinks about that when they see you. That's really damaging.
Yeah, this is a real human being.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about a difference between a Donkey Kong score and a human being's life.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't rape somebody. He didn't, like, this isn't, you know, he didn't commit a crime. And, yeah, like I said, the guy's an idiot. He's a scumbag. And the fact of the matter is that he might not even have been removed from Twin Galaxies if it wasn't for the, like, reactionary culture that we have now, where I'm sure Twin Galaxies had a ton of pressure on them to do something about it. And that's because whenever something like this happens, the lynch mob just goes nuts, and they're like, they want blood. They want a martyr. They want somebody to go out on the crucifix and be crucified. That's the entertainment we get nowadays.
It is.
And the fact that it's been months and I'm still getting news updates, you know, nothing popping up much about the bomb strike on Libya or whatever, or Syria, but plenty of news articles popping up on my feed about Billy Mitchell and his removed.
I've been surprised how much coverage there really is on this guy.
Yeah, so point. You know, it's just another pariah for everyone to point at and laugh at. So, you know, it is what it is. I honestly, it sounds silly, but I really do feel bad for the guy.
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that, I mentioned this to you earlier, I think that in the next 10 years we'll see like a resurgence. I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's another documentary made with him as the underdog this time. And his legacy's been destroyed, and he's, you know, nobody will talk to him anymore or whatever. And then he starts training and shows up at some Twin Galaxies event, and in person, you know, proves that he can get the record or whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if something like that were to happen. You know, yeah, I feel bad for the guy. I mean, he's an idiot. He's a scumbag, but he doesn't, you know, you leave it at that. You say, yeah, you're a jackass, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Not rake the guy over the coals for 3 months.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is.